Good morning, beloveds. Okay, I, I don't even know where to start this morning. The temperature started dropping, and by 6 o'clock last night, it was 32 degrees. And when I woke up this morning, it was 15 degrees, with a feels like of, depending on the app that you looked at, 1 or 0. And it may or may not get to freezing today. It may or may not get to 32 degrees. We don't know. I've not heard from the business manager at my job, so I'm assuming that we have power. Our power has held steady all day, although I will say that one of my cats is very angry about the weather. Foster is just howling and growling at everybody, and I don't know what's going on. He's 15, I think, so I'm wondering if the cold weather is hurting him. Gabby's been a little extra screamy, and she's 17, so I was trying to check that out, and the colder weather can, if their joints already hurt, and so I was like, okay, so if you notice that the people around you or the fur babies around you are a little extra grouchy, the cold weather may be making their joints ache a little bit more. So offer them a little grace, because that's exactly what I was trying to do for this cat, who's just who is this absolute sweetest cat ever, and to hear these sounds and these growls coming out of him, I'm just like, he's hissing and growling, and I'm like, so it's like, I want to give him space, but I also don't want, and everybody's giving him space, so he's curled up in the bed. He will not make a meow today. So, and I'm not going to ask anything of him. Not. That poor baby. Okay, it is December 23rd. It is Christmas Eve. Okay. It was really funny to watch the two, Dylan and Chanel say that in concert right there. It was great. But it is December 23rd. Our title is Spiritual Mind Treatment. Our first quote is, For ye are bought with a price, therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. And that is 1 Corinthians 6:20. That one's kind of creepy. The premise upon which all mental work is based is perfect God, perfect person, perfect being. And that is Science of Mind, page 168. And then the last quote, it's Craig Carter. The last quote is, the process of spiritual mind treatment begins with this concept: perfect God, perfect person, perfect being. That is the basis of the conviction we must have. And that is from a workbook called Good for You, page 87. Spiritual teachers throughout the ages, in all cultures, have proclaimed that prayer changes things. Of course it does, because prayer, particularly as it is taught in Science of Mind, is a statement of faith, and faith is a mental attitude which so completely accepts a desired good that it takes form in the outer world through the activity of the law of mind. What must we do for our prayer of faith to be effective? For our spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer to be effective, we need to have complete acceptance that what we are praying for is possible. Our basic conviction must be perfect God, perfect person, perfect being. We also need to have a clear concept of God as an infinite presence and perfect power. When we have such a concept of God, we can achieve the faith we need in order to believe that any problem can be resolved through affirmative prayer. Whatever illness appears to be there, for example, we see as wholeness, and we should say so aloud and in our own words. That is what a spiritual mind treatment is. I believe in the healing power of God, and I believe in the life of God within me, the vital force in every cell of my body. I believe that God is who I am, where I am, and what I am. There is no other reality. I am speaking my word for perfect health. Every cell in my body is responding right now to my affirmation that there is no disease, pain, impairment, or malfunction in spirit. My premise is perfect God, perfect person, perfect being. I believe it and I accept it. And that's CC. It's Craig Carter. So let me remind you, Reverend Jesse's definition of perfect is whole. Okay, so whole. It's all included. And then what must we do for our prayer of faith to be effective? That is a very serious question, and he answers it. We've got to believe. Okay, so if you are praying for something that is a little bit more than you can believe, or a lot more than you can believe, and you wonder why your prayer is not effective. So what the science is, what Science of Mind says is, well, then come back to something that you can believe. That's where you start. You start with what you can believe, and you gradually increase your container. We call it a mental equivalent. So it's like, okay, if I can't believe this, what can I believe? And let me start there. And then once I achieve that, then I can start working, and I work my way up the level. So whatever it is that we want, we can absolutely have. But if we can't get there immediately, and I mean, I don't know a whole lot of us that can. It's what we call hardball metaphysics, and it's like, and there are books written, especially with healing. There's a book, if not a series of books, called Spontaneous Remission. And that's exactly what it is. It's like from one day to the next, or, you know, in a very short period of time, they went from very ill to completely healthy. So it is absolutely possible. It's what you're willing to believe. And that, so then the current wisdom is if what you want is a little bit too big for you to believe, then start with a little bit smaller and work your way up. There's no shame in starting small and working big. Absolutely no shame in working small and going big. There's a meme that says, people who say go big or go home really underestimate my desire to go home. Okay, so you don't have to go immediately big. You can start with small steps. It actually is the best way to get there. So that's how science works. Small steps. It's like, okay, let me test this. Okay, well, that didn't work, so let me test this. Well, that worked, so then let me test this. Small steps. Okay. Hi, Rita. So, start with what you can believe and work your way up. And then he says the second half of this, it's like, okay, what can you believe in? Then the second half is you've got to have a clear concept of God. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I haven't said it in a while because we've been talking about other things. But sometimes it is a very good idea to go and check your idea of what you believe about God. He had this, well, it's an infinite presence. I like what Jesse calls it, a divine pattern, a patterning presence. If you still believe that, God is an old man sitting in a chair with a big book judging you, then that might go a ways towards explaining why your prayers aren't as effective as they could be. So it's like you want to revisit your relationship with God. You want to come back and take a look at what you believe about God. And I do like the Science of Mind idea is that everything is God, that everything is made of God's stuff, that everyone is God in action. Everyone is God in motion. We're all godlings. No one person is all of God, because that's just not possible. But each and every one of us are that divine spark, that divine, I've even called us splinters. And so if we go back and revisit what our idea of God is, and then we can go back and believe more. That's what spiritual mind treatment is. So Craig is pretty, Craig is very no nonsense. I appreciate Craig Carter's writings because he is very no nonsense. Okay, so and that was the other thing that I knew there was one other thing I wanted to touch on. The spiritual teachers throughout the ages in all cultures have proclaimed that prayer changes things. It does, okay? And that's the really cool thing about prayer, is what prayer does is it brings us into alignment with God. When we pray, we are not trying to change God. That's not possible. When we pray, what we are doing is we are changing ourselves. We are bringing ourselves into alignment with God. And we know the qualities of God. We know the qualities of creativity and joy and harmony and health and wellness and perfection. Again, wholeness. And that's it, wholeness. Everything is included, which means everything is possible. And so that's the power of prayer. Prayer doesn't change the world. Prayer doesn't change God. Prayer changes us and brings us into alignment with God. And when we come into alignment with God, we change the world. All right? Which is why one of our mottos is a world that works for everybody. Well, how do we get there? By aligning ourselves with the qualities of God. Okay, so that is what spiritual mind treatment is. And anytime you're reading Craig, he has those, him and Margaret Stortz just have those really awesome down at the bottom. So I believe in the healing power of God, and I believe in the life of God within me. All right, you want a mission for today. The mission for today is exactly that. To believe in the healing power of God and believe that the life of God is within each and every one of us. We are all godlings walking around. So the mission today, that's it. To believe in the healing power of God and to believe that life, the life of God, that's how we start our treatments. There is one power, one presence, one life. And I like to say one love. And that love is God. And that love is in each and every one of us. That life, we live that life. That life of God is within us. If you can start there, then you can up-level your prayers, your affirmations, your treatments so much. Start with your relationship with God and what you're willing to believe, and nothing's out of reach. Nothing's out of reach. Okay, so that is the mission today. The other one is the spiritual practice of doing something loving for yourself, doing something kind for yourself, doing something compassionate for yourself, whatever that looks like. It is really bloody cold out there. Pardon my English. So I would say that the most loving, kind, and compassionate thing you can do for yourself is bundle up. Layers. Those of us here where we live, which is in South Texas, don't know what this weather is like. Now, I have lived in other places. I do understand the concept of layering. So layer. Most loving, kind, and compassionate thing you can do for yourself is to layer up. That way, as you warm up, you can shed layers, and if you end up getting cold again, you can add layers back on. So, loving, kind, compassion, layer. And let growly cats sleep. That's a very loving, kind, and compassionate thing you can do for both you and the cat. But it's all the other things too. Make sure that you are. When I say the spiritual practice is doing something loving for yourself, doing something kind for yourself, doing something compassionate for yourself, it is absolutely about self-care. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you want to serve others, the first person you have to serve is yourself. All right? Take advice from the airlines. When you fly, they say, if the masks drop, put your mask on first, then help your neighbor. All right? Can't pour from an empty. So take care of yourself. But it's also love, kindness, compassion is about joy. The holiday season can be all kinds of hot mess for a whole lot of people for a whole lot of different reasons. But this is an encouragement to make time to find joy for yourself. All right? whatever it looks like. I keep seeing the one going, if you don't feel twinkly, that's okay. You don't have to be twinkly, but make room for the twinkly moments when they come. So make room for joy when it comes. Whatever is going on for you in this holiday season, make room for joy when it comes. And celebrate it. All right? So you know all the advice to take a nap, take a walk. Although if you're going to take a walk today, bundle up. Drink a cup of something warm and engage all 5 of your senses. Call a good friend. Rest. Take care of yourself. Love, kindness, compassion. I do say you're your own best test subject, and I am encouraging you to create a habit. That's why I say it every day. There is no better habit that you can have than the first response to no matter what happened to be loving, kind, and compassionate. All right? You deserve your own love. You deserve your own kindness. You deserve your own compassion. Practice on yourself. And as you practice on yourself and connect to the source of your own being, you are connecting to an infinite source of love, kindness, and compassion, so that you will always have access to it. That's why spiritual practice is called practice. It's meant to be done every day. All right? But it doesn't have to take a whole lot of time. Okay, I'm moving into do something to engage your mind and your body, especially if it's really cold. One of the best ways you can warm yourself up is movement. And it doesn't have to be exercise. It can just be movement. Do something to engage your mind and your body today. It'll get the brain moving. I do encourage you to drink plenty of liquid today, fluid today. I normally say water, but I get it. It's cold. Your fluid may have other stuff in it other than just water. I mean, coffee has water in it, so just too much caffeine can be dehydrating. The point of it is to hydrate. Your brain works better when you're hydrated. So take good care of yourself. Hydrate well, especially if the heat is running all the time. We actually get more dehydrated in the winter because, we don't pay attention. And heat is very drying. Okay. I do encourage you to get early in your day bright light. I'm grateful that it is going to be a beautiful sunny day, because if it was cloudy and wet in this temperature, we would all be in a whole different world. I have played this game before. No, I went and checked my car first thing this morning. No frost. I love it. So the roads will be safe for those of us who don't know how to drive in those conditions. That would be me. And then take Ernest's advice. In the words of Ernest Holmes, open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you. You do live in heaven right here, right now. What I remind you every day is that heaven is a state of mind. It is a state of consciousness. Once you learn how to create heaven for yourself, nobody can take that away from you. It is absolutely a superpower, and it is a superpower that each and every one of us have. We are born with the Christ consciousness already installed. Heaven is within us. I mean, Jesus said it, right? So heaven is within us. We have that power, and joy and love are how we get there. So that's why I'm always encouraging you to make time for joy. There's a reason. So, and you can always listen to Emma. Look for the good and praise it. I mean, gratitude will get you everywhere. It will get you everywhere. All right. This is the social media part where I remind you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center, our Creative Life Spark on the social medias that we are on. I am the running Rev Ryan on the social medias that I am on. And there's all kinds of good stuff all the time. Check it out. And if you want to know what's going on with the center, email info@creativelife.org. That will get you a constant contact. The hot links are hot. They will either get you right to the information you want or to the person that can get you the information that you want. So please avail yourself of that. I will remind you that tomorrow is Christmas Eve, and we will have an amazing Christmas Eve service for you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know what everybody's talking about, all 4 of us, and so it's going to be good. And I have no idea what the musicians are doing, and it's going to be good. So, all right. And you can watch it online or come in person. It's up to you. Our colors are blue and silver. So, and then on Sunday they'll be red and green. So, hey. All right. That is what I know. I am going to move on into the have a great day, wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a stay warm day, a bundle up day, a layer day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day, because you are enough just as you are. All right. You are a beloved child of God. You are living the life of the presence. You are a divine spark. You are a brilliant light. You are a godling in whom God is well pleased and well represented. All right. And I say well represented because sometimes you may be the only Bible that some people read. That's one of the reasons why it's a good idea to go back and revisit your relationship with the God of your understanding. So that when people meet you, they meet the God that you believe in. All right. Okay. So here's where I get to remind you, Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you around 9 a.m. I have no idea if we're going to go to the park or not. Tom has to go into work early because so that he can get off early. So I don't know what, and it still might be below freezing. So, yeah. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I'll be on around 9 a.m. And then, yeah. So take care of yourself. I'm serious about layering up. Stay warm and know that you're loved. I will see you next time.